We are back on the X52 podcast, going live for a little lunch hour episode here on a Friday. How about that? My name is Jake Louque. I'm joined by my guy, Arditti. My friend, how are we doing here on this glorious Friday? Not something we usually do, but of course, big news to discuss in Birdland today.
Yeah, we do the break in case of emergency pod if we need to, and it feels like this is a big one for the first time, and since Mike Elias has taken over as Orioles GM in November 2018, I believe, the Orioles have signed a long-term extension. They were the only team per Jacob Calvin-Meyer to not sign someone to an extension, and that list is complete. We've checked that last box. We're done with that now. So shout out to El Buff, young Buffalo, baby Buff, big boy Sammy. I don't know. He's got a lot of we can do some fun stuff with his nickname.
Some workshopping might be in order there. I wonder if El Buffalo, the restaurant, is that still in business? I hope it is.
Think it's gone. Let me see. I thought it was gone. No, maybe it's still there. El Buffalo. It is still there.
Good little spot. Maybe there could be some kind of endorsement deal coming for him there. But yeah, I mean, you said it, man. There's a little bit of a nobody beats Vitas Gerulaitis 34 times in a row thing with this. We're 7 years in, and this is the first big extension. And let me tell you, I wasn't expecting it to be this guy, but goddamn, it doesn't make a lot of sense on the surface. This came. So I pulled the Jeff Passan tweet here. I would like to point out that this was initially broken by the Baltimore Sun's Andy Kostka at 9:19 a.m. or 9:18 a.m. And Jeff's tweet here was 9:19 or 9:20. 1 minute later, that was pointed out by our boy Kyle Goon, the Goon man. But yeah, I pulled up the Passan one because you just get a little more context. Breaking: catcher Samuel Basallo and the Baltimore Orioles are finalizing an 8-year, $67 million contract extension. Sources tell ESPN. Basallo, who just turned 21, is one of the best prospects in baseball. And less than a week after being called up, he has a long-term deal. His deal with the Orioles, once completed, will begin next season and includes a club option as well. It can max out at $88.5 million, and it's the largest pre-arbitration extension for a catcher. So crazy stuff here, and a lot to get into. And like I said, just very unexpected. I didn't actually see this initially on Twitter. I got the ESPN push notification, which you only see like the first like part of it. And I just see Jeff Passan, Samuel Basallo extension. And I was just like, holy shit. And I just ran to Twitter, and there it was, and everyone freaking out. And man, there's a lot to get into, a lot to think about. But and the fact that it's long overdue, obviously we'll get into, but this just feels like a very joyous day in an Orioles season where we just haven't had too many joyous days.
Yeah. And again, obviously this season hasn't gone the way that everybody had wanted. But again, if you kind of take a step back, I mean, this leading into next year with the way Rogers is pitching and, the way that some of these guys have progressed and Gunner's still playing well, like, again, the people who like a month ago were like, oh my God, the rebuild, like this is not a rebuild. They are well on track. And now this has them again, set up for the future. They have a piece locked in long-term. Would we like it to be a couple others? Yes. But again, you cannot control that. And some people have pointed out like, oh, this shows you how easy it is to get an extension done with, a guy that's not Scott Boras. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it doesn't. But again, I know that there have been extension talks with some of the Boras boys and stuff like that. But them getting Basallo signed and locked in, I mean, that's a huge piece. And for the people who want to poo-poo on it, or, I'm sure Jason Lockenfora will be like, oh, you should have done it for 9 years. How do you not sign for 10? Whatever. They're going to be negative. It's the same group of people every single time. But again, I don't know how you can look at this as anything but like a win-win for the team, for Basallo, for his family. He's had, I think Dylan Atkinson tweeted it, he's had like an insane 10 days. In the last 10 days, he has turned 21, made his major league debut, and then signed a deal that can go up to $88 million. Like that's not too bad for a guy who legitimately 2 weeks ago was staying at like a Red Roof Inn in Norfolk, Virginia. So yeah, I mean, it's super exciting for us as fans. Again, this is the biggest extension. It's the last extension. No, they did Hardy, but it's the biggest extension since Adam.
Well, it was Alex Cobb, I think, was the most recent, like actual multi-year Trump where that was the really big one. And like that you're talking 9 years ago at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I mean, Mark says it here. Why does it seem like it was a steal? We watched him do it last night. I watched him, Roman Anthony, hit that home run in New York. Basallo's getting half of that. I think he was 8 years, 160, and Basallo is 8 years, 67, up with a chance to go up to 88. When I saw the numbers, I was shocked. I thought I thought Andy missed a one. I thought Jeff had missed a one. I thought there was a lot of where I was like, is this? I had to check like 4 or 5 times that I wasn't getting, gotten. But no, I mean, again, I don't know how you can look at this. Even if he turns out, and we'll talk about the Adley thing in a little bit, but even if he turns out to be just like an okay, like an average to above average first base bat, DH bat, this is still a steal. Like, this is a really good deal for both sides. He'll still hit free agency, I believe, when he's 29. So again, he has another chance to really cash in, and he has the opt out in 2034, which seems so far away. That's one of those, I don't even know if we'll ever see that, but yeah, I mean, it's still, like I said, it's still being finalized now. It's not quote official yet. And that's why the team hasn't said anything. And we're waiting for a couple I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed. But yeah, this is, not bad for a guy who's played 4 big league games. And we've talked about it in the group chat, but he just seems different. And again, I know it's 4 games and it's like 13 at bats, but he seems different watching him. I don't know why. I don't know if it's his like, fuck it, I'm going to swing approach. Do you remember the Rex Grossman, like the fake Rex Grossman, fuck it, I'm going deep? Yeah. Like, yeah, that's what he reminds me of. Like, I'm just going to swing. Like, he's going to hit the warehouse one day. I don't know. He has that like box presence of like Manny Ramirez, I was saying. Like, he's
Spenny made the Ortiz comparison, and it's lofty. And then I was a little skeptical at first when he said that, but like when Ortiz would step into the box and I'm just watching through the TV, I'd be like, oh, fuck. Mm-hmm. Like, this guy's got an absolute presence about him. And more often than not, that would be warranted because he would, just absolutely beat us up at certain times. Not when he was facing Mattis, of course, but we don't have to get into that. Basallo, he's got that same kind of presence. We were talking about it. It's hard to, like, with all the analytics and the 5 tools, and this guy's got an 80 grade here, and, he's 95th percentile in bat speed and all that kind of stuff. Like, man, it seems like we're kind of just the scouts sitting around the Moneyball table talking about who's got a hot girlfriend, but this guy is just like, he's whatever it is, he's got it. The ball just explodes out of the window coming off of his bat. It sounds like the crack of a rifle. Like it's not like anything I've seen with any of these prospects, including Gunnar, who's got a ton of power and a very smooth swing, but there is a maliciousness. There is a malicious intent with Basallo. There is a violence to his swing that also feels sustainable because of his size. That is just like pretty rare. And like, I think you got into some of the good stuff on like how this does feel like a steal. And that's absolutely right. And I go back to the video of him getting called up and his dad being the one to call him and tell him, seems like his family is very important to him. And it seems like he maybe didn't come from the same upbringing as some of these other guys within this prospect core. And that's not taking shots at anyone, but like, this could be legitimately very life-changing money for a young Dominican guy who just turned 21, whose family is a very big part of his life. He sees this money put on the table, plus all the factors that you mentioned where he can just hit free agency at 29 years old again and probably rake even more money in, plus all the endorsement deals he could probably get as well over all that time. Just seems like a win-win for both sides, like everyone else is saying. And it's rare that you see that in any sport whatsoever, but it feels especially rare as an Orioles fan, and I feel very blessed right now.
Yeah, yeah. And you're spot on there. Again, you talk about how like you can't really compare him to some of the other guys who are waiting on extensions, the Gunnar, the Westberg, the Adley, the Jackson. It's impossible to, like you said, compare a 21-year-old kid from the Dominican who, if you read, I think it was JCM's, where he was getting up at 3:30 or 4:30 or whatever, and like taking a bus to the, doing all that stuff, like working out at that Dominican complex down there. Like, you can't, there's no comparison. It's apples and oranges between Gunnar at 21 and Basallo at 21, just because of, like you said, where he's from and the family situation and things like that. It does not compute. It doesn't add up.
He just changed his entire family's trajectory.
Oh, it's generational wealth again for years and years to come. And how can you not be happy about that? Again, we sat next to, I think it was his girlfriend and his mom. I don't remember seeing his dad when we were down in Sarasota. And he got one at bat, and I think he saw 2 pitches. and you would have thought it was the 9th inning of the World Series. And they were so excited. They were clapping. And again, I think he popped out on the second pitch, but they were just over the moon happy. Like he was up to bat with the guy with the winning run on third in the World Series. They were just losing their mind. And again, that's the stuff that, again, I think you're like, these guys have worked their ass off for years and years and years, and it's great. And obviously you're very happy for them. But yeah, it is an awesome day. It's the anniversary of the 30-3 game. So the last time, I think Jason pointed it out to me, the last time the Orioles gave an extension out while they were playing a team from Texas was the Dave Tremblay extension. And we know what happened later that day as a young Arditti was at his first day of college orientation. So 18 years ago today. That was fun. But yeah, again, this kind of came out of nowhere. I won't say that. Yeah, came out of nowhere. But again, it definitely wasn't who I would have expected. Again, you just don't think about the Orioles signing guys 4 games into a big league career, let alone many teams. I know the guy Campbell for the Red Sox was kind of similar. Yeah. But yeah, this is, it's very fun and it's exciting. It's cool that he got the standing ovation yesterday at his first home game. He had the single yesterday. He's going to get a hell of an applause tonight. I'll be there Saturday. I can't wait to see the applause for him then, but yeah, this is really, really cool. And again, you have the people who are like, oh, I feel bad for Adley. I feel bad for Gunnar. I feel bad for West. Like, I don't think that's like, no one is sulking their head in the clubhouse right now, just being like, man, I wish that was me, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not how that works. Like, they're happy for their guy. If anything, again, it should motivate them. Not that these guys aren't motivated already, but like, this is not a negative. I saw some people saying that, like, oh, how, now this is going to piss off the other guys. No, it's not. I don't think it's going to piss them off at all. I think, again, if anything, it's like, hey, look, they will spend the money. They can do it. Magna Carta Dave will happily open that checkbook now. He won't just pay for the Panda House in DC. He'll spend money
too.
Say it again.
A lot less busy these days too.
Who, Dave? Why? Because he doesn't have the Kennedy Center
Institute, and he was forced out. Be renamed. We don't have to get into that, but yeah, no, all good stuff there. And yeah, good work by Uncle Dave ponying up the cash. And I mean, you want to talk about right player, right price. I mean, it seems like the right player for more than the right price. So all good there. And I'd also love to shout out Elias here. Like I said, long overdue. We can get into that discussion. I wish this had happened with any of those other guys, especially Gunnar. He's kind of the glaring one to me right now. It sounds like they have tried over the years here and there. Hasn't materialized for whatever reason, but I'd shout out Elias, not for getting it done, but for what he's done in the international pool. Him and Kobe Perez really making an effort down in the Dominican, just something that the Angelos family just had no interest in, that Dan Duquette, when you're talking about Shohei Ohtani, and it's just something philosophically we don't do.
No, brother, we're not doing that.
I like Duquette a lot, but it's like, that is the Moneyball guys sitting around the table, talking about the strong jawline. It's like, nah, man, like we got to push this thing forward into the 21st century a little bit. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I think we talk about Elias' scouting, I still think that's probably his strongest suit, but just the open-mindedness and the willingness to invest and kind of put yourself out there in developing areas and kind of really focusing on an international market that's growing and growing and growing as baseball becomes more global in certain areas of the world. And the fact, by the way, that we can talk about this, that from Kylie McDaniel on Twitter here, the Yankees had a deal with Basallo as an amateur before he was eligible to sign in January 2021. Then the Yankees signed Garrett Cole as a free agent. That cost him $1 million in international pool money for the 2021 class. Basallo was cut loose and signed with Baltimore for $1.3 million. So there you have it right there. I mean, that kind of shows you that they developed this very deliberately. And then when there was an opportunity like this, they were ready to pounce, and they did it. And not only did they pounce to sign him then, but they pounced to lock up their investment long-term right now. And it's really nice to see that bear fruit, because we've seen the scouting bear fruit in certain ways with players developing into good players and great players in some cases, but it hasn't really gone all the way in terms of extensions with those guys. So to see this happen in such a way where A, you burn the Yankees, and B, all of this is happening so quickly while he's looking so promising right now. And on top of all that, the money looks great. I mean, this is maybe the biggest win of the Mike Elias era, like straight up.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's even close. It's like that, drafting Gunnar where they did, drafting Westberg where they did, like those things. But like you said, I mean, locking up Basallo is I think to me that's by far the biggest move that they've made. Obviously, the biggest move of the Rubenstein regime. I mean, it's a team friendly, it's a super low risk, high reward. Signing for the Orioles, extension for the Orioles. Like you said, if he doesn't work out and say he is just like a, I don't know, 250 and he hits 25 home runs, say his swing just completely falls apart or something, then you can say, oh, well, okay, they paid him, they didn't break the bank on him, but they paid him a lot of money, and you can kind of go on from there. But again, it's not like they have 180, 190, 100, $200 million tied up to him. Like that, it's not a crippling deal by anything. It's not like this is a fully, we have to go all in here because we're paying this guy so much money. Paying him a nice chunk of change, don't get me wrong, I would take that in a heartbeat, but it's, yeah, bold of you to say. But it's just it's I don't know how anyone can really be upset or against this move. Again, if you want to question it after they've given it to the 4 games in the big leagues, that's fine. But again, we've read and we've seen about him for years and years and years, and he's been at the top of every prospect list. And I know this is different than Kostka, and it's different than some of those other guys who we've seen come up and just haven't really worked out. Like, again, I think the international aspect plays into it, and it's just I don't know. I think this is just such a slam dunk, team friendly. You really cannot beat this deal from where we are right now.
No, you really can't. And I guess we can talk about the fact that it feels like, and we've seen this floating around, that it feels very much more like an investment into his bat, and maybe that might even be part of the fact that why they were able to get him on a lower cost deal. It's because like, hey, we're going to have Adley still here for, however much longer he's going to be here, hypothetically, at the very least. So yeah, maybe you'll DH, maybe you'll play first base in certain instances. Yeah. Or like I said, maybe just DH and you'll be a bat for us. And so I guess we can sort of get into how he projects long-term, both as a bat, which obviously the power and just the violence of the swing that feels like a guy who could be a very productive Schwarber type player, Pete Alonso, Vlad Guerrero type situation, which anyone would sign up for. Does he project defensively at all? And like, how does that affect things for Adley Rutschman? And how does that affect the other guys who are, like we said, very much long overdue for contract extensions? I saw our boy, I didn't pull the tweet up here, but our friend Asian Megan was kind of talking about how these guys that haven't received extensions, like a Westberg, like a Jackson Holiday, like a Gunnar Henderson, and like an Adley, feel that this happens after years of them not having received one. And our boy, MLB executive burner, definitely not Mike Elias, tweeted something to the effect of the Orioles have reached out to all of these guys and offered multi-year extensions to pretty significant money, and they've all turned it down multiple times. That account is very strange, very bizarre to track. I can't make head or tail of it. Like, who could this be? I love the Mike Elias conspiracy theories. I don't think it's him.
No,
it does make you wonder. And we have, for the record, very, very third-handedly heard similar things. So, and it shouldn't shock anyone with Scott Boras being the agent for most of these guys. It's not the case for Adley, but it is for Westberg, for Jackson, and for Gunnar. And where I'm sitting, if I'm Adley, it's pretty obvious right now that he probably wished he had taken an offer if it had been put in front of him a couple of years ago. But with some of these other guys, I mean, I think this is just a sign that, yeah, you can come to the table and you can get things done with Mike Elias. Like, it doesn't always have to be this knockdown, drag out, try to get every penny out of you type situation. And I don't know. I can't imagine it affects them too much in any significant way. I would hope that, like I said, it would just show you that the Orioles front office is serious. They can get these things done, which Scott Boras has been saying all along, by the way. He's been very complimentary of them.
That's just what he does, though.
That's true. But all of that to say, it's just a wait and see situation, and we won't know until they're either signed long term or wearing another uniform.
Yeah, and again, I can't speak on Adley. A couple of the other guys, like I said, I know that they've received extension offer. I don't know if it was a formal here's the pen, here's a paper, sign it. But again, these guys have had chances, and it's not like anyone is mad at them for saying no, we're turning it down or whatever. But like, please do not like shed tears for Jordan Westberg or Gunnar Henderson or Jackson Holiday or anything. Like I said, they're not George Michael Bluth walking into the clubhouse today just like, oh my God, here we go. Like that's not how this works. And so you can say that you're sad for them or tired or whatever. I don't think that is the right mindset to kind of go forward with this stuff. I don't know. Again, I think they're happy for their friend who has worked his ass off and has gotten to a point where he can get that. But like you said, I mean, it's possible to get things done now. Like we see it, and it's not like they're just gonna be like, all right, we got one done. Oof, all right, that's and I think we've said that on the podcast. Like that's kind of what we want to see out of this year. I think we may have said that at the All-Star break, being like, what do you want to see in the second half? Like somebody extended, somebody, and now we have that, and we are here. And
I think I made maybe a bit emotionally, but I still kind of believe it that like the front office, they haven't really like it feels like they have tacitly shown a level of kind of disbelief in these players. And it's like you have to speak with your actions a little bit. Like it's one thing to go out there and say all the right things, which Elias hasn't even really managed to do either. He's put his foot in his mouth a couple of times, frankly. But he's also like, it's a sign of belief in your core when you extend guys and when you go out and sign big name guys. And like, I know that's all kind of emotional fan stuff, but at the end of the day, these guys are human beings going into a work environment. And like, if you see your boss investing in infrastructure and investing in staff around you at any job, not just in sports, it's going to make you feel better and more secure in your own role. And that's going to make it easier for you to go out there and execute. So like, creating these positive vibrations and just making it feel like, hey, you know what? They do believe in us. Kind of like we were talking about with Mansolino pulling Jackson Holiday into his office saying like, hey, I don't care how things are going. I don't care how you're swinging it. You're my leadoff guy every single day going forward. That's just how it's going to be. And then what happens? I mean, Holiday was already playing well, but he's having the season we were all hoping that he would have as a breakout player. It's just those little things, those little kind of shows of confidence. And this is a pretty significant one. A little bit more of this, and guys might be more willing to come to the table and say, hey, you know what? Like, I know it's been kind of a shitty year and a half, about to be 2 years here. But maybe we can turn this thing around, and maybe this is the right place to do it. And these are the right guys to do it with.
Yeah. And like you were saying, any kind of work environment, like, they start investing money around you and, in your coworkers and all that. And I feel like that would make you go, yeah. You know what? I do want to be here. I would love to stay here. And, I would love to continue this and stay on this team and work together. So yeah, I'm right there with you. There's nothing negative about this deal. And again, the people who are trying to make negatives or find negatives, I don't understand. All this fan base and all this Twitter has asked for years has been like, extend someone and then I'll be impressed. Extend someone and then I'll be happy. And then the second they do, it's like, well, what about that guy? Well, what happened to him? It's like, no, that's not how this works. Like, we've talked about it forever. Like, if you sign a guy, I'll go out and buy his jersey right now. Like, how many times have we said that on the podcast? I didn't say from the store, maybe DH gate or something like that, but we'll see. I'm not spending
you're going to like print something out. Like, you're going to print out a picture of his jersey, hand it to someone, put 1 penny into their hand, and then have them hand it back and say, oh, I bought his jersey.
Pretty much. I got an extension when I saw what a sweet deal it was. Yeah. Too funny. Yeah, again, I don't know. I mean, I like I said, I'm very happy with this. I don't know how you can't not be. It is very exciting. Obviously, can you imagine if we were heading into September and like we got this kind of Basallo contract extension bump and the yard was rocking and full for them to like announce it and all that stuff, and it's not. But again, I mean, him running down the orange carpet on opening day next year is going to be great. I'm fully, again, if you're not. I'm already super excited for next year. Obviously, this year is this year, and it is what it is. But man, just the thought of the things that could happen next year in the offseason, like how can you not be pumped and excited and get goosebumps and kind of like I said, I wish I had the click remote. I wish I could just fast forward and just get me through the free agency and offseason.
That movie is that you're not supposed to do that even through the bad times.
But I just want to do it for a little bit, not like he did it.
He was only going to do it for a little bit. Then he got addicted to it. And then what do you know? He's sitting on his deathbed.
Well, Kate Beckinsale's there. So things are a walking
and just weirdly horny over her for like a scene. That's just
that movie is so goddamn good. If you don't like that is like a top 5 favorite movie for me. It's incredible. I love that movie every time. But anyways, I do want to fast forward even through not the bad time, just the boring time.
Well, I mean, I was going to say there, you were talking about the yard being rocking. It looked like he was doing pretty well last night in a blowout. And guess what? the guy who gets called up right alongside him hits his first home run with that sweet little chop swing that he has over to the flag garden. Dylan Beavers. I mean, like, this is like, these are the good times and the bad seasons that we're talking about, finding the little wins. And let me tell you, Dylan Beavers is looking not quite as promising as Basallo, just in terms of like raw athleticism, but like the production has been there. And like, that's another guy that's all of a sudden talk about the young core and the rebuild and the replenishment. Like, this guy, for me, he kind of came a little bit out of nowhere. I mean, I knew he was in the mix, but like, I was not expecting this from him at all when he first came up. So to have both these guys come up at the same time, one of them receive an extension and the other one to, you know, perform equally well, very exciting stuff.
He's got a little bit of like Nick Markakis, kind of just quiet. I'm just going to go about my business. And maybe that's just every comp we put on white guys who play the outfield.
So I think Westberg has that more than cornered. We got to find somebody else.
Well, again, he's just like Beavers, like you said, he was a good prospect and we always heard about him, but nobody was ever like,
he wasn't in the top 100 for like the longest time. So like
just broke in the last couple of weeks. But again, like we've known about him. And again, that's that 2022 draft, him and Jackson. You know, so that is we're seeing the fruits of that draft come out. Meanwhile, Drew Jones is still in, I think, high A for like his third year or whatever. So again, if there's any question about that,
he was not the first overall pick in that draft.
Who, Drew?
Yeah.
People wanted him. I wanted him. Hell, there were the talks, but again, it was him, Brooks Lee, and all those guys. And I think it's very clear that the Orioles made the right move there. But yeah, Beavers I have really enjoyed watching him. He's just like an unorthodox. He has the Kyle Tucker, like you said, swing. Somebody compared it to like when you find a dead rat or mouse in your garage and you just shovel it out and you kind of just like quickly just get it out of there. Yeah, he's been excited to watch. The
dustpan for those, like the big dustpan with the handle. He's kind of in and then pop it,
smoke it right out. But the Killer Bees, man, they're fun. Somebody tweeted me, I retweeted it, the Beavis and Butthead of them too, which is very funny. So that was good. But yeah, I mean, again, it's this lineup here. I was talking to somebody this morning. Think about this lineup. Oh, I don't know what that was. Holiday second, Westberg third, Gunnar short, Basallo DH, Adley catcher, either O'Neill's or Beavers in right field, Cowser or Beavers in left field. Obviously a center fielder mixed in somewhere there, maybe Cowser, O'Neill, Beavers in the outfield. I don't really love that defensively. And then Mayo at first. So there's some fun things that you can do with this lineup and these guys. Again, I think when Basallo is going to be in the lineup, he's just a game changer. I think Basallo and Adley in the lineup, I think they're both. I think they're going to be great in the lineup together. And they both have much different games. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yes, and yeah, you could throw Mountie in there as well. We'll get Mountcastle in there. It's just I think this lineup is in a very good spot with the pieces that we have right now. And again, if they add an outfielder or somebody else next year, then it's solid, very solid.
Yeah, you're an American League team. Having a DH is well within your DNA. Like there's plenty of time for, like we got Andrew saying here. I know we're not done with Adley, but pressure to put together a good 2026 is officially on. Absolutely, and he's going to get the opportunity. Like if he's healthy, which we didn't talk about it, but he went to the IL again with an oblique strain on the other side from the previous one. Injuries starting to pile up. Poor play has, been there during stretches for a while. He's also had some good flashes this season. It's put up or shut up time in 2026. So yeah, it's like I'd say have him run the main line as catcher, have Basallo just kind of DH first baseman as needed because you're not totally settled there, like you mentioned. And like you said, if Adley is a serious player worth extending, he'll prove himself to be such. And if not, then you've got your catcher of the future already locked up.
Mm-hmm. And also, so again, Adley's had, I guess we'll say 2 good years, 2 bad years, right? I think we can agree with that. And then obviously he's had the bad injury luck last year, which if you want to say it, if you don't want to, that's fine. And then this year, but again, you still have him through 2027. Like Spenny has said, he's the only guy they're losing before 28. And he'll be 30 then. So like these are the years you want him, and he will be motivated. Again, we can say that, no one is feeling, no one is like pissed off, but I guarantee you this motivates Adley. And again, it should, this should get him being like, okay, let's see what we can do. And not like I'm going to one up him and I'm going to show him, but as like all right, now we have a guy locked in. Let's make a run at this.
Like when you're like kind of a middling but still pretty good veteran quarterback, and they go up and get the guy of the future in the first round, right? Like an Alex Smith back in the day, even like a Flacco in 2018. It's like, hey, I still got some ball left in me, and it's even like more extreme than that because Adley's like better than that and younger, obviously, but it's just a little bit of a wake up call. And like, hey, you could still play plenty of good ball, whether it's here or somewhere else. That's kind of up to you at this point.
Yeah, and again, it's not like they're not fighting for one position. They're not. There's a DH spot right there. Like they will play there. They will split there. There's a first base spot that Basallo can play, and then I'm sure Adley will learn to play and all that. So yeah, it's not like they're competing. It's these guys going head to head. No, that's not it at all. These guys are going to be in the lineup. These guys are going to spend so much time in the same lineup together. It's not. There's no direct like competition between them.
They should bring Hyde back and put Basallo out. Just deep ass left field and just see what he does. Use Mateo in center field. Just do whatever. Just get crazy with it.
Yeah, they could do that. They could do that. And also too, again, Basallo has had some shoulder injuries from throwing and things like that. So like obviously now he is the catcher at the end of this year where they're going to finish 5-10 games under 500 or whatever. But like opening day catcher next year, Adley Rutschman is going to be there. Like that, he's going to be your catcher next year. So again, I don't think he's not going to catch 130 games for them. So that's why the people who were, I don't understand them, thinking like, oh, well, Basallo is going to come right in and they're going to trade him and they're going to do this and you got to move Adley now. No, you don't. Like they still have a window to win in the next couple years. So keep this, keep that going and see what you can get out of him. Again, I think you want to piss off Adley and see what see what you get out of him. Maybe the golden retriever needs to growl a little bit. Show us those teeth and, show us what's deep down in there. Show us you're a dog.
I don't know if evolution goes the other way.
What do you mean? You can go. There are some mean golden retrievers. Not everyone is there, but
go feral. You want him to turn into a stray and just learn how to survive on his own. The feral golden.
Maybe he needs to get lost in the woods for a week or two and come back a little hardened.
Yeah, a little worse for the wear, but he's got some fight in him now.
Maybe. But yeah, again, I think this is we've said it before. I mean, we said it a ton, but it was a great deal for everyone. So
absolutely, I
love it.
Coming up on the end of our lunch hour here. Anything else before we close this one out?
No, I don't know. I'll be out there on Saturday. Should be a good time, and come on out to the Camden Yards and let's finish the season off strong. Again, what are they now, 9 games back, I think, or something like that. No, for a playoff spot. Crazier things have happened, but 3 straight wins versus series wins versus playoff teams.
Fewer things have happened. It'll be literally 162, and it's like, well, if this breaks right, and it's like crazier happen.
Then we'll still be like, they could still maybe it'll be September 18th, and it'll be like maybe they can win 13 in a row, maybe.
Yeah. Oh Lordy. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in with us here on this fine Friday afternoon. Lovely weather, by the way, in Baltimore, just after a crush of a gray, wet week. Hope everyone is able to enjoy this weekend and is enjoying the news of Samuel Basallo being the first extension of the Mike Elias era. What a sound that makes in my ears. My ears are ringing with the sounds of that. It's just insane. Thank you all for hanging with us. If you liked what you heard, subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can find us on social media at Exit52 Podcast on X, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me on X at Jake Louque. That's Louque. Eric is at EDITTI22. Ryan at Barstool Banks. Shout out to our guy getting married. I wasn't on the previous episode this week, so I just wanted to shout him out, thank him for the invite. What a tremendous ceremony that was out in Wisconsin. Great to see Uncle Taylor Smythe out there as well. At Taylor Smythe 10, you can find him at, and Spenny at Ravens 4 Dummies. That is the number 4 in the middle. We appreciate y'all, and we will see you very, very soon.
Bye. See ya.